Welcome to the podcast. We talk about all the things that are hidden in the shadows. This is Isaac.
This is Megan.
We're back from our vacation.
Vacation, yeah.
Well, technically taking a break.
It was like a staycation.
I always hate that word, staycation. You're not having a vacation. You're just staying home.
Yeah.
Not doing shit.
Yeah. No, it's always around this time I notice that we kind of get a little bit burnt out. Not burnt out, but like where we kind of like step back and reflect on different things in the podcast.
Well, we put so much effort into October that
it's like, dang.
Oh, what are we going to do now?
Yeah. So,
but we do have things planned.
Yeah. We have some really cool stuff. Yeah, I'm excited.
Because there's never a dull day in the paranormal with us.
Yeah. No, we have a lot of stuff, I think, coming up the end of this, rounding out this year. Actually, I would say December is pretty chill month. Like, it's not a whole bunch of stuff going on. We're kind of revisiting, other than shape-shifting, we're kind of revisiting some topics that we've talked about in the past. That's one thing that we wanted to do for the rest of this year was kind of revisit some of the earlier episodes, which we're going to do.
When you say early, you mean like way back 2 years ago.
I know, it's crazy to think that. Dang.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had some recommendations from some listeners about like which topics they want to see us go back to. And that might be a reoccurring thing every so often come into the new year. We might, because I don't know why I want to recover the Denver conspiracy theory episode. Like, I feel like there's more stuff to it, but I would have to do some deep-rooted digging. I feel like when we do these episodes, like the reevaluate or redoing ones that we've already talked about, I want to try and find the grit. You know what I'm saying? Like the grit, like the stuff that is not specifically known about that. But anyways, that's a tangent. But yeah, and then we have investigations and stuff coming. Well, I don't know what we're going to do in December, but I know the beginning of next year is wild. I'm actually really excited to cover this episode, and I'm really excited to get back in the swing of things because I actually missed doing the podcast, but I did need a little bit of like a break from it.
Yeah, I was busy playing God of War Ragnarok.
Oh my gosh, he's been on that game, and like I'll randomly hear like you're one of those types of people that get angry at the game.
And it's not my fault. Some of these bosses are really hard.
He loses. Fuck!
No, I act the same way when I get beaten as like I fight the same boss over and over and over again. And at the end, I'm like, yeah, you piece of shit. Gonna die. Yeah.
No. My favorite thing that he does when he video games is that something will happen and the character gets hit, but you go, ouch. Out loud like you're actually getting hit.
It's not my fault the character doesn't react the way it should.
Voice-overing the characters when you're playing.
Ah, fuck. When he falls off a cliff or something.
Yeah. And then, like, you cannot bother him when there's dialogue.
Because I'm paying attention. Would you bother someone watching a movie?
No.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah, I always get that look, that death stare. Like, hey, Isaac, you want this and this for dinner? I'm in the middle of a dialogue.
And my rule is if a new game, don't bother me. Old game, I don't care.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. I give you the same look like when I channel and you ask me questions. It's that same, like, could you not right now? Anyways.
On to today's episode.
Yes. So we are covering shape-shifting, which is a huge...
Or shapeshifters.
Say shifters, yeah. I've never shape-shift. I don't know if you've ever shape-shift.
Not in this lifetime, I guess.
Yeah. But, I mean, shape-shifting is so broad. I definitely, like, in the coming year, hopefully, want to go more squeeze the genre down. Right now, on this episode, it's going to be very, very broad. I have a couple stories. I have a couple weird stories that occurred to me. Kind of fit into this shape-shifting, I guess, episode. Have you ever had any
experiences? No. Not that I can know of. I mean, no. I never witnessed anything that would be considered shape-shifting whatsoever.
Have you ever, but I'm curious, because this has happened to me a lot. But I don't know if it's kind of more of just like the psychic thing that, I'm able to see somebody past like what their face is, I guess you could say. But have you ever looked at somebody and thought, oh shit, that person's not human?
No.
No? I had an experience recently. I was at the mall and because some of these encounter stories actually talk about how Because I feel like shape shifting, like that whole concept, there's breakdowns of different categories. Like I feel like there's like the legends, and then you have like the whole reptilian conspiracy theory, and then you have where like people have had encounters with people, like humans, that something just feels totally off. Some of the encounter stories I'm going to share, or one or two of them, basically talk about that. And there was a situation that I was in recently. I think it was like a couple of weeks ago. I was at the mall, super crowded, and I'm walking and, you know, not paying attention. This guy, he was in a trench coat, didn't even, like, it just was, it felt weird. I don't even know. I can't even explain it. He was bald, extremely young, and he was walking through the crowd. But it was like people were specifically like moving out of his way. And he was walking in a very funky way, like not normal. It was his palms were basically open in front of him, facing each other. And they were just like almost like, you know, when you mimic a robot, like do the robotic dance, whatever. And it was like that, but he was walking very fast. And something immediately got my attention to look up and look at him, and he was walking through the crowd, like past me. His look in his eyes, like I hate saying that because like it's a person, but that guy did not look human at all. And I've never witnessed something like that. Like, it was creepy.
I met creepy people, but I never met anyone.
Okay, there's creepy people, and then there's this type of, I don't even know. I can't even describe this. Like, it was a feeling of, like, that's exactly where my mind went to. Like, I was a goth kid. I was a rocker kid. You know, there's people that... Well, no, I am still. I'm, like, a rocker adult. I should say, like, I had that, like, teen years where I was, like, goth and all that stuff. And so I've been around real weird people. I know, right? But this, I would even say... that weird goth wall kid thing that I encountered in San Antonio, I said they were like freaky, they were more human feeling than this guy. And the thing that freaked me out about it is one of the stories that even got me into wanting to cover shapeshifting was this woman who she does like shaman stuff. And she, you know, shares her story, shares her encounters, tips and advice, stuff like that, her journey along the way. And I can't for the life of me remember her name, and I can't find her channel on TikTok for some reason. And she was talking about how she was out with her family. And there was a group of, I think she said it was a father, a son, a daughter, and a wife, and a mother, right? And she immediately got, because, you know, she has abilities, she immediately got the fight or flight situation. And she said she went up to these people and they were like picture perfect, like a little bit creepy picture perfect. And she went up to them, she had a conversation with them, and she said that they even talked like, hello, how are you? Like, very weird. There's more to the story. I just honestly can't remember it all. But she basically said that she took off. Her husband stayed talking to them, but she and even her kids like reacted to it. And they went back to the van after a while. But she said that they were they did not feel human. And I thought that was interesting. And she was kind of relating it to people that like shapeshift. And she didn't really say if it was like an alien type situation, like, you know, like what you would refer like reptilian type people to, or if it was just, I don't know. But yeah, she ended up going back to the car, and then they ended up going home. The husband talked to them for a little bit longer, but she said it was very weird. And, you know, she is experienced with abilities. So the feeling of, okay, these people are this is not normal. And I never experienced that before, like to a point where I was like, okay, these people or this person is not normal until that day at the mall. Like
the idea, which is funny enough, one of the things we should talk about when it comes to shapeshifters and the whole idea of it. Number one, a culprit for shapeshifters in the entire world, always conspiracy theory behind it, is the reptilian race.
Yeah.
The reptilian alien race I couldn't tell you much about them because I never cared too much, but I know the idea of it and the story behind it and where they are. Where planets are from, couldn't tell you. Should probably bring them up next time we talk about UFOs. Funny enough, another episode we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's the next one.
In this month, is aliens, stuff like that, coming back to that subject. So we'll probably have more information at the time, but as of right now, couldn't tell you. But the crux of the whole thing is that the reptilian race are here for mischievous reasons to control the human race. They infiltrate our governments, our policies, our politics, our kingdoms, our countries, our celebrities, everything, and either becoming a celebrity personality or killing the original celebrity and taking their place, right? And then influence us to do this and do that, stuff like that. To me, it sounds like a story that's already been told or a Marvel story that was influenced by it. Like the Skrulls. Anyone knows anything about Marvel, comic book wise, know when I talk about the Skrulls. This sounds exactly like it. The Skrulls' whole thing, Secret Invasion and all that stuff, is taking over people of power and positions across the entire world in order to control. From superheroes to government figures. Or superheroes or actors and stuff like that. So, take over certain positions and stuff like that. Which has been not too far-fetched of a conspiracy. Why? Because there is evidence of it happening. The weirdest one I ever saw was with Elvis, of all people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Mm-hmm.
His footage is black and white. It was probably done in the early 60s, I want to say, right? He's accepting some kind of gift for some little girl, some kind of like I don't know what the hell the award was. I can't remember what it was. But this little girl was giving him an award. He's accepting it, and it's like right before a show that he's supposed to perform. And he's talking to her, and she gives him a weird look, and he looks towards the camera, and his left eye is melting on his face. Now, I'm not saying like his makeup is melting or anything like that. I'm talking about his left eye is drooping on his face as if he was wearing a mask, and the left part of it was melting down. In the instant you saw it on camera, one of his handlers ran up and touched that spot over his eye like it was touching his forehead, but really was touching his eye to push it back into place.
Oh, my God.
And holding it there. He took the napkin off, and he looked at him again. Yeah, it was still fucked up. And he pushed it back again to cover it. Little girl going, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And they end up fixing it, and he ended up blinking, and he goes back normal.
Have you seen that also, that it's surfacing around TikTok about that guy? He's walking on the street at night. And it's like, it looks like a, I don't know, surveillance camera or whatever. And he's walking, and this other guy is behind him, and then one guy goes to mug the guy in the front, knocks him down, and this thing comes out of him. Scares the living crap out of the one guy that's trying to mug, and he runs away, and then the thing goes back into the guy.
No, but I'm going to look for it.
Yeah, so you look for it. I know, obviously editing and stuff like that, but it looked like non-editing to me. I don't know, but I know there's like obviously a long list of celebrities that people think that are, and obviously powerful people. I had another really weird situation. It's not really shapeshifters, but it gave me that same feeling like, what is this? And I told you about it, and it happened a couple days ago. So I was out getting Christmas presents, and I was by myself. I went to the store, and of course but I always stress to people, wear your protection, because it's important to protect your energy, whether you have abilities or not. So, protection can be anything. It could be crystals, it could be religious medallions, depending on, what resonates to you and all that stuff. So, but I didn't. And I always reap what I sow when I go out without protection. I'm going out, I'm Christmas shopping, and it's crowded. And I went into the store called Five Below. And anybody that knows, that store is kind of like, or at least our store is kind of like pretty tight with the aisles. It's not super big. It's pretty tight. And it was jammed packed. And so I'm going down this aisle, and I'm looking at these figures, and I could see a woman in front of me, and she's like staring at me. And I'm like, okay, and I thought she was just trying to get by. So I quickly look up, smile and say sorry and kind of move out of the way, and then look back down at what I was looking at. And then I kind of look in front of me, because I'm always kind of, especially when I'm by myself, I like to know my surroundings. And I look, and she's still there. And I hear her start to laugh. And I'm like, okay, what is this? So I look up at her because I started getting a fight or flight feeling. I look up at her, she's smiling. And I said, like, hi, like I kind of do like a gesture, like, hi, like, can I help you? What's up? And she starts laughing and she goes, she like dead stares me in the eye and goes, they're coming for you. And I was like, that TikTok sound where they go, the woman was too stunned to speak. Yeah, that's what I was. And I got a feeling kind of similar to that guy at the mall, a very just sickly feeling, a very fight or flight. And I was like, what? And to the point where the older lady that was in that same aisle turned around and was like, what the, like she was looking like, and she just stared at me like she wouldn't let me get past her. And she was just right in front of my cart staring at me in the face. And, then eventually I was like, either you move out of my way or I'm mowing you down with the cart. And, then she starts laughing and she goes, you'll see. And walked off.
Yeah, we deal with a lot of weird people in our life.
But my point is that I never really dealt with issues where I was like the fight or flight really took off of looking at a person like that. But that's my point, is sometimes shapeshifters could just be people that just have like an off feeling. I don't know.
Well, to clarify, shapeshifters, the different kinds we know so far, either aliens that can shape into people or people that can manipulate their own physical features, i.e. even spiritual forms like doppelgangers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then the ancient shapeshifters, i.e. skinwalkers and stuff like that.
And a very good thing, if you guys have seen Wednesday, spoiler alert, if you haven't watched it, a prime example of a shapeshifter is what would you call her? Principal of Nevermore.
Yeah.
She literally is a shapeshifter. That's what she's called. So it's anybody that can kind of shift into another form. So that could be animals. That could be a bunch of different things. And a lot of the times you'll find that the motive with shapeshifting is you have a superhuman ability, divine intervention, demonic manipulation, sorcery, spells, witchcraft, like that kind of stuff, or you just have the ability. Me personally, I've never shapeshift. I've never seen anybody shapeshift in front of me, so I don't know how plausible. There is like tons of legends, which is what we're going to get into right now, of different forms of shapeshifting, because every religion kind of has it. Every culture kind of has their version. There's even, like, for instance, a good example is the succubus or the incubus, which is, a demonic entity. And essentially the incubus shapeshifts is the male version and tries to sleep with the woman.
Oh,
and then succubus is the opposite. Female tries to sleep with the male. They essentially...
I know they 100% shapeshift. I think that's their actual... Well, then again, I might be wrong.
No, because they can shapeshift to what you like.
Oh, yeah.
So if, you find blonde girls with blue eyes, they could do that, and they know that. I'm pretty sure, their form is not female or male. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is something I heard on the podcast a while ago about succubus incubus's intentions. Is that what they're doing, or is it the succubus incubus, is it a kind of demon, or is it just an entity on its own? Yes, it is a kind of demon that's sole purpose is a sexual way of either possessing or taking over or influencing or tormenting people.
Yeah.
Through that way. Because sometimes incubus doesn't want to say no for an answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times when you have something with the succubus or the incubus, you have a deterioration of health, impaired mental state, even death, and then it could even lead to possession.
Yeah.
So you have that. There's another legend called this is in Japan. This is not as kind of brutal as a succubus or incubus, but It's called the Kitsune, and it's foxes that possess paranormal abilities that increase when they get older, and they can shapeshift into human form. Another legend is in Korea. It's the Kumiho, which they have the ability to shapeshift into beautiful women, to seduce men and boys, and basically eat their heart and liver. It's a legend that they have about shapeshifting. And when you think of shapeshifting too, I mean, you think even fictional stories, werewolves, vampires technically shapeshift, witches technically shapeshift, you know, the stories. So, I mean, it's in a lot of stuff. Armenian culture, they have a legend called the Ning, which is a serpentine river monster that can transform into a woman or seal, and they drown humans.
It's like a siren.
Basically. Yeah. Essentially, yeah. It's just sirens don't really shapeshift, though.
No, not such. It sounds like a siren. How a siren uses their siren song to draw people in.
Yeah, and then the Indian culture has a demonic entity that they call the Rakshasa. I'm probably not saying it right, but they take on animal forms to deceive humans. So, yeah, there's a lot, but there's one in particular type of shapeshifter that I want to talk about because I feel like it's one of the most feared, even outside of the culture. That is the skinwalker. Because the background of the skinwalker is I don't know, I find them super interesting.
And also, everything we've told is like one page of a novel that's about 1,000 pages long, right? Because that one page of information is the only information the Native Americans ever shared with anybody. And it's through stories and legends, and not entirely. We know so little about the lore about the skinwalker that most people think that everything that's already been told is it. It's like, no.
Yeah.
There is a lot out there that Native American cultures are keeping secret or has been lost to time.
Skinwalkers are essentially a Navajo legend, even though other tribes have their version. According to the actual definition of a skinwalker, it's a type of harmful witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal. In the Navajo Nation, the meaning of skinwalkers translates to by means of it, it goes on all fours. Which, that's terrifying. I mean, the skinwalker, it's scary. It's just not a pleasant name. One thing to kind of understand is that skinwalkers are different from medicine man, shamans, even lighter witches in the native tribes. Light witches in the native tribes, because there is some native people that do practice witchcraft, but on a lighter side. So essentially, what I have read on articles, because I don't have that connection to a native person to be able to get more in-depth information, but what I read on articles that were shared is that skinwalkers essentially start out as like medicine men or medicine women, and because they can be either male or female. So they started as like healers of the tribe. Essentially, from what some of the articles said, that basically when medicine men and women learn about, you know, healing and spiritual combat and all that stuff, they learn both sides, the good and the bad. It's believed that skinwalkers come from the healer choosing to harness more of the darker side of things. So their stuff turns more to the dark side. According to the Legends of America, there is certain ritualistic things that have to occur. Sometimes it requires doing very dark deeds, such as killing a close family member, sacrifice, and yeah. And that's how they kind of turn into. So basically the healer choosing to harness the darker side turns into the skinwalker. They do have the ability to manipulate and control victims. And this is interesting because me personally, I always pay attention to people's eyes, right? They say it's the windows to the soul. And even with demonic possessions, I've always been drawn to the eyes. The eyes can tell you so much about people. They were saying in one of the articles that the biggest thing about skinwalkers is the eye. And that's how skinwalkers influence people as well, is through the eyes. A lot of the videos on TikTok, when you hear them talk about skinwalkers, or show you like, hey, this might be a skinwalker. It's always those bugged out videos of the animals where like they're staring crazy or they're walking on all fours. But again, it goes back to the eyes. It's always like staring. It's weird. Something's off. Skinwalkers can also imitate sounds of others. And there's even the whole whistling thing too. That's another thing.
And if you have been paying attention to our episodes and listening to the last few of them, you know, in Shadow Walker Part 4, I talk about how I took one down.
Yeah. The last location that we went to, there was one, and it was crazy because I was seeing like the true form of it. And we got like verification on all of this over the spirit box. But this was one thing that was really creepy. So I have to go back and share all of this on the Shadow Walker page. But when we first went there, we heard a whistle. We were hearing whistling, and Mike was whistled back. And that's one of the things that you don't do. Like if you watch any of the indigenous content creators on TikTok, they specifically say like, don't whistle back. Like don't. Essentially, we did that. And it was as soon as we got into the woods, we heard the whistle. And it was the first time or it was the second time? I think it was the second time. Yeah, second time, because that's when first time.
We heard both times.
Yeah. And
the closer we got to the bigger pond, or we essentially thought the portal was, is when we kept hearing whistling be consistent.
Yeah.
And then we finally got there. Nothing.
Yeah. And we whistled back, and then Isaac was like, oh shit, we're not supposed to whistle. We're not supposed to whistle. The thing that I found was interesting is the personal things that was coming through. So anybody that knows, when there's a demonic possession of any sort, the demonic thing gets very personal. The person that is being possessed tends to get personal with the people around, the priest or whatever. Like they specifically say specific details, someone's personal life, right? Sometimes things you don't want to hear, things that you keep secrets, things that, I found that interesting because when we were there, it was specifically talking about things, when it would come through over the spirit box, it would say specific things that were personal to us. Like one thing was, there's a specific person in our life or out of our lives now, but that was significant to me, you, and Mike. And we were there, it kept taunting and going, oh, so-and-so's here. Did you find so-and-so? So-and-so's here, over the spirit box of that person that is specific to us. And then too, one thing that came through on the spirit box was something that was personal to me, where I don't like being called, like when someone goes, hey little girl, right? I don't like that. I had something happen to me in the past where I had someone of an authoritative figure go, hey little girl, listen to me. Like, and I don't like it. You call me a little girl, and I just don't like it. And I just don't like it. And it kept going, hey little girl, hey little girl. But that's my point, is that they can mimic things that are personal to you.
And if you want to, again, this is your first episode listening to us, a lot of stuff we talk about, you're like, what do you mean took down Shadow Walker episodes 1 through 4?
Yeah.
It's the best way I can tell anyone. Episodes 1 through 4. All right. I think 3 and 4 came out this year. 1 and 2 came out last year. So you have to dig for the first 2 episodes. But we talk about it every now and then. So
yeah.
If you stumble across this podcast, hey, welcome to a podcast where people with psychic abilities are talking about paranormal experiences they have as investigators. So, but no, if you are an avid listener and listened to episodes before and know exactly what I'm talking about, in the conditioning level, let's say if you want to compare it to power levels, right? It compared to a demon. The demons that I've taken down before were and this was pretty strong.
Yeah, I would say, and the crazy thing is maybe a month before that, I went up to Isaac and I was telling Isaac, there's a lot of encounter stories about skinwalkers in the area, in the woods. There was I don't know exactly, I forgot, I think it was on like a Facebook forum, because I'm on all the paranormal like stuff for North Carolina and on the East Coast, and there was one local, and they were talking about how they were out one night I don't know if they were hunting or fishing. It was it was Marines, young Marines, and they were out and they separated, and they kept hearing each other's voices, and then they figured out that they were going in circles. And what isn't the Skinwalker 2 the one that sometimes will sound like, help me, help me?
They had to lure people in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's creepy. I feel like that is one of, obviously the reptilian conspiracy theory is a big one. And then Skinwalkers is another big one.
What's the difference? Reptilians and shapeshifters in Hollywood and stuff like that, and politicians, those are conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Right? Little evidence behind each of them, but still valid in what they talk about. Now, the Skinwalker is legend and lore to Native American tribes that's been going back as far as recorded history, right? And even in other indigenous tribes across the planet have their formations of a Skinwalker kind of creature. Even in Mexico, the Aztec and Mayans have their version of it as well. Call it something totally different. I can't remember the name right now. Probably couldn't pronounce it either. But we are doing Haunted Mexico
again. We're going to go more into the Aztec and Mayan stuff.
So I'll probably bring that subject up again. We talk about that later this month. It's a stronger evidence. So little. But it's a stronger point of coming across the idea of the shapeshifter when it comes to, for malicious reasons. Mm-hmm. Same goes for the idea of the spirit, the doppelganger, will copy your spirit, your form, but it's actually a spirit altogether until it takes control. The whole story behind a doppelganger is that it's out to kill you, take your place as you. It learns everything about you, so when it kills you, it can take over and no one knows the difference, right? And sometimes doppelgangers are not necessarily evil to take the place of a good person. Sometimes they're actually a better person to take place for an evil person.
Well, can't demonic things technically shapeshift?
Yes.
Because it could give you the illusion that you're something else.
They mimic voices all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, so they technically are shapeshifting. Well, shapeshifting has been a concept in shamanism in the oldest forms for a very, very long time. So shapeshifting isn't anything new. I mean, when you think about it, like werewolves and the idea of vampires even, and witchcraft and all that stuff, I mean, that goes all the way back. All the way back. So, I mean, and I'm excited to hopefully in the next year break down more of the shape-shifting concepts. Like, I'd like to do just a thing on skinwalkers. Maybe we could actually talk to people that are in the native tribe. That won't give us a whole bunch of information, but we can actually give verified.
I don't think we ever will.
Probably not.
Even me being 10% Chataw native, it's not going to get me in the door.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, they have every right to keep that, safeguarded. But
so that kind of wraps us up for this episode. In theory, the whole idea of the shapeshifter is something alien to the human race, right? Whether it be werewolves, whether it be vampires, whether it be other creatures and stuff like that. To the human race, to us, our physicalities, is something alien to us, right? And it takes either deep-rooted magic involving the dark arts in order to establish to even transform into one other kind of animal. And that magic, obviously, is so safeguarded by the Native Americans and indigenous people that obviously it's something kind of an ability that's, like I said, kept secret enough that no one will ever practice it.
I don't even think I would ever want to shapeshift.
Nor would I, but it's something that an evil act has to happen in order for you to be able to do it. So that's probably why they don't let anybody do it. Or at least don't share the information behind it.
That makes sense.
But as for the conspiracy theories behind the reptilians, obviously it's an alien race. That's it. So the idea of human shapeshifting is, I don't want to say impossible.
If anyone's listening, shapeshift, message us. Because I'm curious.
I doubt they're going to freaking message us.
I'm curious.
Yeah. But what I thought we should talk about now is the fact that we've been gone so long.
Yeah.
But what we have planned this month.
Yeah. So this month, we are going to recover paranormal and cursed games. Next episode is actually going to be Area 51, another part to the Alien series, which we haven't covered Area 51, but it was already on our to-do list to cover. And I know we got a lot of requests to do more on aliens. So everyone likes that one for some reason.
Yeah, everyone likes talking about it. And it also includes Site 4 in there as well.
Yeah, and then we're also going to go to Mexico again.
See?
Yeah. And we're going to cover I want to try and get more of like Aztec and Mayan lores and legends and like views on paranormal and stuff, whatever is possibly out there. So I've been really big into reading lately, so maybe I'll buy a book about it and read more into it that way. But yeah, that and then and then we're gonna go back to the Dolores Cannon episodes. And we're going to do a part 2 and talk more specifically. Hopefully I can get a hold of her books before then and watch more interviews so that we can try and touch on stuff that we haven't. And I have a couple more concepts and ideas from what she has said before. So hopefully we can bring that into.
Yep.
We do have some really cool things planned in 2023. We're working on kind of ways. Obviously, consistency is one thing. That's our number one thing. So we're still going to stick with Monday releases and bonus episodes on Wednesdays. And hopefully there's a couple of different things that I want to try. But one thing that I do want to say is that coming in January, I am going to kind of do like a side podcast that branches off from the Hidden in the Shadows podcast.
She's tired of my shit.
No. Because I know a lot of people were requesting more on abilities and stuff like that, but a lot of people that listen to our paranormal stuff, they don't like listening. I mean, they listen, like listening to us with the abilities a little bit, but I feel like people that want more on the ability can go to the side podcast and listen to it. They're going to probably be shorter episodes and talk about different things. And I'll also bring more psychics and people with abilities on that episode. So this is more of like the paranormal stuff. And then if you want more on abilities and stuff like that, spiritual awakening, that kind of stuff, you can go on that one. Originally it was supposed to be called the Awaken series, but apparently that's very popular. There's a yoga school that's called the Awaken series. There's like 2 other podcasts, a blog, spiritual, metaphysical store called The Awakens. So it's probably not going to be called that. I'm running ideas on what to call it, but it's going to be coming out the first Monday in January. It'll be just like this. It'll release on Mondays as well. And
pick another day.
Maybe Wednesday.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. I'll give you guys more information, closer we get.
Yeah, so you got new things coming.
Yeah.
And of course, we finally figured out how to use our sticker machine.
Yeah.
So we can start making
stickers are coming. If you guys want a free sticker, message us on Instagram or any social media, and we will get you a free sticker. They're getting ready to go out. I have bought the materials, which is kind of cool because if I get a concept for an idea, I can just make it. Concept for an idea. Concept for a sticker, I can make it on demand. And I like sending people things. So I feel like sending free stickers. I could be like, yo, here's some stickers.
Stick it to your shit.
Yeah, stick it. All right.
But as always, guys, you can catch our social medias at Hidden in the Shadows Podcast on Instagram, Hidden in the Shaw 6 on Twitter, Hidden in the Podcast 2 on TikTok, or links to all our social media and all ways you can listen to us at hiddenintheshadowspodcast.com. And as always, you can catch your Weirdos in the next one.
Yup.